So the soul and super soul in the heart are like two birds in a tree, and the super soul is waiting for us to return to him. And as soon as we do, then our misery is finished. So one time Srila Prabhupada was asked the question by some theosophists, I don't know how, in Mexico. Why is there anything? Why is there anything? Can you tell me what answer he gave? He gave it in one word, actually. One word in English, one word in Sanskrit. Why is there anything? Same word in English, I mean almost the same. Same meaning. Prabhupada said, Ananda. That is the purpose. Happiness. That is why there is anything, to be happy. But the problem is, we're searching for it in the wrong place, in this material world. We're searching for love, but we're looking for love in the bodies, and you won't get it. Because we become attached, and one day the body will leave us, and we'll be separated from the body. So, therefore, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is trying to bring Arjuna to the spiritual level of seeing the soul and not the body. And here also, Prahlad is preaching to his demonic friends that, you are the soul. Don't be attached to the body. Be the observer. Use your intelligence to observe how you are different from the body. So now we are seeing things separate from Krishna, but nothing is separate. Everything is connected to Krishna. Only our vision, our separatist, our conception. There is one quote from the Talmud, which is the Jewish scripture, that we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. So according to the different glass, the colored glass that our mind has, we will see the world through that glass. And we won't see reality. In Sanskrit, it is said, Atmanam manyate jagat. You will see the world through your own experience, through your own mind. Just like if you go to the forest, if you're a businessman and you look at the trees, you'll think, yes, lots of money here. I'll cut down these trees and sell it for timber. If you're some young boy and girl, you go to the forest, you think, oh, let's enjoy. If you're in the mode of goodness, you'll think, good place for yoga, meditation. You go and do some yoga meditation. Or if you're a health person, you'll think, hey, good place for exercise. So we go for a walk in the forest, up the hills, climb the hills, like in Germany, they have hills, Sweden too. So according to your vision, you will see things differently. But one thing everyone has in common, that the center is me, I am mine. How I see things, how I view the world. So there are 5 conceptions which are described in the Vedic literature that people have, and there are different levels of realization also. According to Krishna, Prabhupada calls them different levels of Brahman realization. So these 5 different perceptions are Anamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. Anamaya means food. You realize, to you, everything is food. And this is the vision of the infant. The small baby, he thinks in terms of food, Anamaya. Everything, because he just wants to eat. That's his conception of life. Purpose of life is to eat. And so, if you watch a child, like 1-year-old, 2-year-old, how do they know what something is? They'll put it in their mouth. Oh, no, not this. This is not what you eat. So that's how they know what something is. Anamaya. And they'll put everything in their mouth. You have to be, so you have to childproof the house, because you cannot keep poison, you cannot keep small things that they can choke on, because this is their way of understanding the world, through the mouth. Anamaya. And then, unfortunately, we have grown-up people who have the same conception of life as in this world. Anamaya, they can't go beyond food. Of course, if you're a devotee, that's okay. You can have prasad and go back to Godhead by eating. And we have one of my friends in Vrindavan who has left his body. He was an old man named Dadu. And he attended one of my Bhakti Shastri classes. So I was asking, what is your favorite of the 9 processes of devotional service? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. He said, Prasada Sevalam. Other. Anyway, I'm sure that's true for a lot of people. But that's okay. If you're a devotee, you can do that. You'll make advancement by your Annamaya conception of, because it's connected with Krishna, and that's the point. We need to connect all of these with Krishna. The second one is pranamaya, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So you add sleeping, mating, and defending, survival, just to survive. That's the purpose of life for many people in this world. It's described, so many people are hungry, they don't have money. That's the purpose of life. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Well, animal life. But it should not be the purpose of civilized human beings who have extra intelligence. They should go beyond this. Then Jnanamaya is when you're on the level of the mind, thinking, feeling, and willing. And these are the philosophers, the scientists. They're into the scientists into their experiments. Sometimes they forget to sleep because they're into this mental focus. They're always in the mind. And the philosophers, the great scholars, they're also into their books, into their study. So they're into the mental level. And even the musicians, they're in the feeling, the artists, they can go into practically a trance with their music and their art and their science and their philosophy. So this is the Jnanamaya level, thinking, feeling, and willing. And most of the world is in the first 3 levels, Annamaya, Pranamaya, and Jnanamaya. This is the purpose of modern civilization. Mostly the lower 2, but there are a few that also are in the Jnanamaya level. Then the 4th level, Vijnanamaya, that is when you realize, oh, I'm not this body. So this may be also impersonalist philosophers who have this realization. And of course, if you are on this level, then you will have a certain behavior. You will be detached from the body. Just like Bhagavad Gita, the first instruction that Krishna gave to Arjuna in the 2nd chapter. First he explained what are the symptoms of a person who, well, not the symptoms, but he explained how you're not the body. You go through different changes, and then he gives him an instruction. Okay, if you know you're not the body, and you know your body changes and you don't, then this is what you should do in one word. And it's in the beginning of the 2nd chapter. He gave him a very simple instruction. If you know you're not the body, then what should your behavior be? The principle is you're not the body. Then if you know a principle, then a behavior should follow. If you accept that principle, if you believe in that principle. Yes?
Fight.
Fight? No, that's later on. But
He should not have met.
Yeah. Fight comes later. Yeah, it's not in the beginning. But yes, I can understand why you would say that. He said, Tams titiksha savarta, tolerate. Because it's just from sense perception, it's not you. So therefore you have to tolerate. So if you know you're not the body, then you will tolerate. Then you'll be on nishta. First step of liberation. You'll be steady. Chanadapi sunichena, kavari, ivasahishana manira manadeha kirtanaya sadhari. And of course, the last and the highest stage is anandamaya, which is the purpose of everything, Prabhupada said. Happiness, bliss with Krishna. Connect with Krishna in the form of the holy name, with the deities. So we have to see Krishna everywhere, as we were discussing in a previous class. That when you actually can see Krishna in the atom and between the atoms, and as Paramatma in everyone's heart, then you will perfect your thinking, feeling, and willing also, which is the Jnanamaya level. So this is the purpose of our movement, to be happy, And chant Hare Krishna and be happy, as Prabhupada used to say. And then we will become connected to Krishna and we will see Krishna everywhere. Lord Chaitanya has made it so easy to connect in this age. We can do anytime, anywhere. So we should just take advantage of this opportunity. We'll stop here if you have any questions or comments. Yes.
I was just thinking about this, that when these realized souls like Yudhishthira Maharaj and also Bharat Maharaj, like we should all be tolerant when we understand of this body, but like Yudhishthira Maharaj, he had Krishna in front of him, and then when Krishna asked him if he sometimes was attracted to his mother because she was eternal, she was looking very youthful. And then I heard that Yudhishthira Maharaj said that it happened that he would be attracted to his mother. And then
I never heard this one. Yeah.
You didn't?
No.
Okay. Because then Krishna asked him, what do you do about it? And then he said nothing.
I don't remember hearing or reading that.
But then there is this example with the Jada Bharat, where he got chastised by King Rahugana. And then like he was feeling a little bit sad when he got chastised by him. And then later on he corrected. Was that because that he was not like completely realized?
No, it's another. So the question is, it looks like the self-realized soul sometimes feels sad and happy and all that. So Prabhupada answered that question in a Bhagavad Gita class in Hyderabad. After the class, there was a question by one Indian person, and he said to Prabhupada, I think Arjuna is not a pure devotee, because when his son died, he was lamenting, and he had heard Bhagavad Gita and said you should not lament for the living and the dead, but then he was lamenting, so that means he's not a pure devotee. So Prabhupada's answer was, no, it's natural to lament, to have these feelings as a human being. These feelings are natural. But the proof that he's a pure devotee, the proof that he's a pure devotee is that even though he was feeling very upset because of the death of his son, he didn't stop his service. The next day he fought even more vigorously. He didn't give up his service. You could have said, wow, Krishna, you're right here with me, and my son died, and you're here in this battlefield, how come? No, he didn't say that. He just went on with his service to Krishna, and that was the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, that happiness, distress, you should tolerate, and you go on with your service to Krishna. Therefore, he's a pure devotee. But the feelings are there.
But will these feelings be in all? Because like the six Goswamis, they were going in and out of the transcendental leelas like that. So if you identify yourself like one of his maidservants or like this, will you still feel sad when something happens to relatives and material?
I can't say about the six Goswamis, but it appears that Arjuna had those feelings. He was lamenting for the death of his son. It's not like we're robots. Even Krishna, when he heard, it wasn't true, but he heard the Pandavas were burned up in a house fire, he was lamenting. And he went and he was crying along with all the rest of the relatives. And again, when he went to Hastinapur another time, Satyabhama, her father was killed. Her father Satyaji was killed. And she ran to Dwarka, to Hastinapur to tell Krishna. And Krishna was crying, Krishna and Balaram were crying because of her father was murdered. Then immediately they went to kill the murderer. So even Krishna has feelings. In this world, it's not that our feelings are stopped, but they don't stop our service. We go on with our faith in Krishna. Our faith increases, just like when the Pandavas were put into exile in the forest for 12 years. Narayani Muni visited them. And he was expecting to hear some complaints about Krishna, you know, but no. They were happy happy with Krishna, and he observed that their love for Krishna was increasing. Even though they were in the forest, they were, you know, laying on the ground instead of royal beds, and Draupadi as well. But they were happy. And so then Narada reported to Krishna, he said, I don't know what hypnotism you do with your devotees, because they're in so much difficulty, and you're their friend, you're the best friend of Arjuna, how they're in the forest suffering. And but their love is simply increasing for you. So yeah. And you do hear sometimes Draupadi complaining, Bhima complaining, while they're in the forest. But anyway, but that didn't stop their love for Krishna. So this is the point, that we feel. This one, there's a very famous verse, you must have read in many purports of Yadavacharya, I think it's Yadavacharya, Yamunacharya. And he says, when I think of sex life, then I spit. So he thinks of it. Sometimes that means Yamunacharya, the great Acharya. So because we're in the material world, then you know, sometimes these things come in our mind. But we don't, it's again, chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. So many desires may come into the mind or the heart of the devotee, but he is like the ocean, is always still. And in the purport, Prabhupada says a very interesting thing. He said, you have the Gita? I'd like to actually get the exact words. Something like, although the devotee may have material desires, it has no inclination to satisfy them. Something like that. I'll just read the exact words, because I believe it's in the chapter 2 verse 70, around there. This is the proof of the Krishna conscious person. Yeah. Here it is. Desires may come to him like waters of the rivers that flow into the ocean, but he's steady in his activities, and he's not even slightly disturbed by desires for sense gratification. That is the proof of a Krishna conscious man. One who has lost all inclinations for material sense gratification, although the desires are present. Isn't that interesting? Because he remains satisfied and transcendental loving service of the Lord, he can remain steady like the ocean and therefore enjoy full peace. And before that he says, as long as one has the material body, the demands of the body for sense gratification will continue. The devotee, however, is not disturbed by such desires because of his fullness. A Krishna conscious man is not in need of anything because the Lord fulfills all his material necessities. So isn't that interesting? So this is the behavior of the devotee. Although that is the proof of a Krishna conscious man, one who has lost all inclination for material sense gratification, although the desires are present. So you see by the activities of the devotee.
I just read yesterday about these Purushottam hormones.
Right.
And there it was said that the Pandavas, they suffer so much because of this, they were not following this Purushottam hormones.
Oh.
So my question is that sometimes they might not have known this, has Prabhupada set up this system to us, because this following this Purushottam hormones is mainly to follow the morning program and these kind of things.
Yeah, it's included. If you follow, if you do everything, then it's included, basically, Bhagavatam class. But he never told us about Purushottam once while he was here. He couldn't tell us everything because we would have not been able to do it. I remember one time in Calcutta, he said, this year you don't do Charamasya because you're already doing enough austerities. So it's included in devotional service and chanting Hare Krishna. Hari Nam, the holy name, is the topmost austerity, the topmost vow, the topmost of everything, sacrifice. So everything is in the holy name. Because Krishna is there. Krishna is everything, the holy name is everything. And that's all you really need. Of course, the money program he gave us, and that will include everything. And the Rishottama is pretty much. If you want to do extra things, that's nice. It's always good to do extra things, as long as it does not interfere with your service. Yeah, so I saw the whole list of 10 things you're supposed to do. Okay, anything else? I'll go to Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Defective.